Okay, we are live. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited to be here, and I am joined by the wonderful Phoebe Sherman. We're so excited that she's here to talk to us. There's more information in the bio of this video, but Phoebe is an incredible woman. She has founded Girl Gang Craft and really taken to her own of helping people in their businesses. And that's what she's going to talk to you today, making your brand, all the fun things. So I'm going to turn the time over to Phoebe and we will let her wow us. And please feel free to write in the comments. I'll be watching that and let Phoebe know if there's anything to address. So Phoebe.
Hi, everyone. So excited to be here today. So excited you could join us all. Thank you, Amy, for having me. Yeah, so I have a little presentation for you all today. My name is Phoebe Sherman, and I am the founder of Girl Gang Craft, like Meg said. And Girl Gang Craft is a community for female forward entrepreneurs. And we're gonna go into what Girl Gang Craft is today, because today is all about crafting your brand story. So again, like Meg said, we're on Facebook, so we don't have the chat communication, but please feel free to leave any comments and we'll get to your questions either live, or if you see this video later, we'll get to your questions afterwards. I'm also always an email away, so you can send me an email if you have any specific questions, hello@girlgangcraft.com. Okay, let's get started. Okay. So, cultivating your brand story, a Girl Gang Craft presentation. Okay, so about us, about Girl Gang Craft. So Girl Gang Craft, like I said, is a community for female forward creatives and entrepreneurs. So when we're not in shelter in place, we host craft fairs all over California. And we empower artists and creatives to make money online with our classes and courses. So we also have a feminist clothing line, which I designed, and we just launched our podcast this year. And you can find out more about us at girlgangcraft.com, and of course on Instagram at girlgangcraft. And my personal Instagram is Phoebe Sherman, and I will put that in the comments later as well, so you can follow us. So today's objective, we're just talking about brand story. So not just talking about brand story, but we are talking about brand story, which actually ultimately I think is the most important thing you can do as a brand or as a seller. And as a seller, right, you are a brand. You are creating your own personal brand. So I'm going to tell you my brand story and teach you how to cultivate your own. So I learned quickly. I was selling my jewelry at some of these craft fairs, and then I wanted to start selling my prints, and then the uterus line. And I learned quickly that craft fairs were expensive and exclusive to participate in. So I wasn't always getting in. And then when I got in some of these events, and for those who don't know what a craft fair is, just like a market style event or a convention event. Basically, we all have our little booths and we're just selling our work. So, you know, some of these events were $800 or more to participate in. So that was a lot for a beginning artist. So I was like, I'm going to throw one by myself. So I gathered 15 of my artsy friends in my friend's cafe, Lucky Duck in Oakland, and Girl Gang Craft was born. So today, Girl Gang Craft throws shows in over 3 cities. Working on more as we start to open up our country. So our Oakland show has 120 vendors in this big ballroom. And this year, we have really pivoted to virtual offerings. So our goal is to help creatives make money online. So what is a brand story? So what do you think? I'll give you a second to think about it. You can't quite type into the chat. So yeah, what makes a brand story? So a brand story is your story in relation to your brand. It sort of answers all the W words, right? Who, what, where, why, and how. So you want to think about, you know, how you got your start. What are you doing currently? What did you do to get there? Was there any sort of moment that really stands out as the beginning of your story? Why is a brand story important? So your customers want to know the face behind your brand. Especially when lots of people are selling the same product, they want to know why they should buy from you. You want to tie up your brand story in a pretty little bow. So it doesn't mean this is not authentic. It's just easy to digest, like bullet points. And then you can sort of, expand on these bullet points when you're creating content or when you're talking, for instance. For instance, so just talking about Instagram for a second, there's this entrepreneur leader called Jenna Kutcher, and she used to like only post pictures like of flat lays and scenery from her house, things like that. And then when she started posting pictures of herself, like her engagement skyrocketed, right? So it's really proven that people want to see your face, and not only see your face, but they want to know about you. They want to know your story. So especially right now, I think the world, we know that small businesses are hurting, right? There is absolutely sort of this movement to a movement away from the Amazons of the world, Walmarts, etc. And people really want to get back to their community. They want to get back to small businesses, locals, people that they know. So you want to stand out in that. When you're just sort of selling, a lot of people get turned off by that. So you want to serve, you want to offer things of value. And something of value is your story, why people should support you. Oops. Okay, so where does your brand story live? So your brand story can live, if you have a website for your brand or for the brand that you sell, you could just put your brand story in your about section. And then bits and pieces in your captions, in your social media. So, maybe you share one day about your process, maybe like your shipping process, or any sort of behind the scenes. That's part of your story as well. When you're talking about your product in real life as well, your brand story can be a part of how you talk to people. Or if you're going live to talk about your product right now in the virtual space. You could also make content about it. So like a video or a PowerPoint. So that's somewhere where our brand story lives. And also our podcast. So my podcast, episode number 1, is my brand story about Girl Gang Craft, how we got started, who am I, why you should care about what we do. And yeah, you just want to draw people in, yeah. So how to create your brand story. So I suggest turning off your phone, sitting down, write out your whole story. And if you're someone that doesn't like writing, be gentle with yourself, make up a cup of tea, turn off all your devices, give some space for you to sit down and write it all, okay? And then it's also a personal decision. So you can sit down and figure out how much you want to share. It's up to you to figure out what you want to reveal and how you want to reveal it. So it's okay to talk about the hard parts in your life. Quite often, those hard moments, that trauma, those places are places of pivot, right? They're places of acceleration, right? So it's okay to talk about those hard parts. It's also okay not to talk about them. So if you don't want to reveal that trauma, that's fine too. There's no rule about that. I do think people who get like real, other people who have those moments of trauma or those similar moments of trauma can relate to you, right? So especially if you're selling something that's in relation to that trauma space, even something as simple, not as simple, I'm not going to simplify things, but let maybe you even have trauma around your skin, right? And then now you're selling this skin care that helped you get over the trauma. That's beautiful. That's definitely something you should be sharing about in your brand story. Yeah, and you want to just think about how your story connects to your current life and what you are selling, right? Just said that. So your past life and also your current life, how does this make your life better? And then you sit down with you've written out your whole story, you sit down, you polish up, you make it flow, and then you can use bits and pieces of it in your content creation when you're talking about, like today's skincare regimen or whatever, right? You're pulling from your brand story as you share your content. Okay, so you have your brand story, right? You're using that to put in your content, to talk about things. You have that living on your website. And then you also want to sort of really funnel it down, really pare it down to create an elevator pitch. Okay, so again, our elevator pitch, Girl Gang Craft is a female forward community for creatives and entrepreneurs. We host craft fairs in California. Our goal is to help artists make money online. So we offer courses, classes, and a podcast. That's our elevator pitch. So you want like 3 sentences tops: who you are, what you do, who is your product, and offers for, right? And then you want to save this in your notes on your phone, okay? Because you will use it all the time. You will copy and paste that into your emails when you're talking to people. You also want to memorize this. So I literally, when I created our elevator pitch, I sat down and I practiced until I really got it. And then, you want to make sure that you don't sound like a robot, just like reciting it. Like there's room for a little bit of movement, right, within that elevator pitch. So you can have those basic ideas down, maybe switch up the order a little bit sometimes, or add in bits and pieces depending on who you're talking to or when you're talking about it. And then once we're out in real life again, or some of you may be, you're using this at the bar when you talk to people, you're using this at the grocery store, you are using your elevator pitch every time someone asks you, so what do you do? And you don't want to freeze up in that moment, right? Each time you're talking to someone, each time someone asks you what you do, that's a lead, right? That's a potential customer. So you want to be able to talk about what you do so easily in the back, like have it ready in your back pocket. Okay, so we've talked about our brand story and where it can live, right? So again, on your website, in your content, I really believe our video is a really good example of how you can tie up your brand story in a pretty little bow, right? I did hire someone to do that. Full transparency, I'm all about that here. That video cost me about $600 to make, which is actually a great deal. Find someone local to create a video with you if you want to go full on professional. There's also, you can, pull out your circle light, make a little video. Really all these easy apps to create something for your consumers, for your community, for your customers. And you remember, you're pulling out bits and pieces of your brand story when you're creating content, when you're talking to people, okay? And then you're paring that down to an elevator pitch. And this is your go-to. Anytime that you see someone, you're talking to someone, you have your elevator pitch ready to go, okay? And then your next steps are thinking about brand identity. So this is actually not something I'm going to go into details about. I just wanted to leave this here because guess what? We already have one brand story, which is part of the 6 key elements to brand identity. And I actually have a whole podcast episode on this. So Girl Gang Craft, the podcast, this is episode 6, I believe. Yeah, 6 key elements to create a brand identity. So if you're someone who utilizes social media, right, you want to have a logo. Even if you don't utilize social media and you're using your email often or your business cards, logo. get it. And I actually suggest when we are spending money on our brand, the two things that I suggest spending money on, most two important things, are your logo and a photographer. If you don't have like a kit of photos or whatever, or also you can get really good at taking your own photos, but right, we want high quality photos. We want a high quality logo. That logo represents us. So we want logo. You want to figure out your colors, your brand colors. You want to figure out your voice. And I think the brand story is going to help you figure out your voice, because ultimately your voice is your own voice. And you know, you want to think about who your audience is, right? So are you like speaking casually, like a friend over cocktails? Are you a little bit more proper? All of these sort of elements are going to go into what your voice is. We have typography, which applies to, you know, on your website, branded content, and then imagery, right? Your product photos, you know, maybe you're borrowing content to create your brand identity. Maybe you're making content. I love Canva. I make a lot of content on Canva, like this PowerPoint, and then your brand story, which you already have. So we have a whole podcast episode on this. So that's your next step. Once you have your brand story written down and your elevator pitch, next step, brand identity. So if you have any questions, go ahead, leave those to the comments. And Meg will tell them to me, but I just want to let you know where you can find me. So again, you can follow us at Girl Gang Craft or at Phoebe Sherman. We have lots of fun things on our website. So we have lots of free content. We have a blog, we have a podcast, like I said. We have freebies, like downloadable PDFs that are great tools to get started or to polish up your content. So 30 days of content is a great place to start for brand story inspiration. It's 30 days of prompts to get you to think about what to write about, specifically towards social media, specifically towards Instagram. But it can work for Facebook too. And also how to build a maker's brand is a great freebie. Probably applies a little less here for you guys, but it's a great place to start to think about fictitious name statement, sales tax, logo, things like that. And we also have some classes and courses. So I believe that Amy has a class to give away to you guys. It's our content class, so it's pre-recorded. I also have a couple of live classes coming up. This Thursday, we have an email marketing class. And next Thursday, we have brand partnerships. So I know that's a lot of information, but please stay in touch. And I'm going to check in with Meg and see if anyone has any questions.
Thanks, Phoebe. As of right now, I am not seeing any questions. So I think we're okay. We can give a couple seconds to see if anyone adds a question, just because there is the lovely time delay of Facebook Live. But yeah, thank you so much. Great content. And I just want to make sure everyone knows that you can come back and watch this. It'll be here available for you. And we'll be ready to go. And thank you, Phoebe, so much. We appreciate you. And I'm so excited that you joined us today. Thanks.
Okay, thank you so much for having me. And feel free to email me if you'd like at any point. hello@girlgangcraft.com. I'm available for questions. I'm very accessible. I'd love to chat with you all.
Perfect. Thanks. Bye, everyone.